Today we have 55 random facts that will blow your mind. Mosquitoes love lactic acid, and eating potassium-rich foods like bananas can make your body produce more of it. That might make you a bit more tempting to them. Also, skip lotions with alpha hydroxy acids outdoors. They can make you a mosquito magnet too. Helium is the only non-metal element with the ium suffix. When astronomer Norman Lockyer named it after spotting it in the sun's spectrum, he thought it was a metal. Female turkeys can sometimes reproduce without a male. It's called parthenogenesis, and while it's rare, it can happen in captivity. The catch? The babies are always male. Let's try to break this down. Female turkeys have ZW chromosomes, and males have ZZs. When an unfertilized egg duplicates, only ZZ'd embryos, males, survive. WW embryos aren't viable. The Ethiopian wolf, Canis simensis, a rare carnivore, has been observed feeding on nectar from the giant lobelia plant, Lobelia rhynchopetalum. This makes it one of the few large carnivores known to act as a pollinator. The behavior is unique and highlights the ecological versatility of this endangered species. Those tiny stars and colors you see when you rub your eyes, they're called phosphenes. Rubbing your eyes stimulates the retina or visual cortex, creating these visual sensations. They can also occur due to pressure, stress, or even meditation. Bats have unique immune systems and genetic adaptations that allow them to coexist with many viruses without showing symptoms. However, they can still carry and transmit viruses to other species, including humans. Their ability to tolerate viruses is linked to their DNA repair mechanisms and dampened inflammatory responses. Our brain cells start reacting to alcohol within minutes, usually around 6. That's when you might begin to feel its effects, like slower reactions or a change in mood. Living to 116 or older is incredibly rare. Statistically, only about 1 in 2 billion people make it that far. It's why supercentenarians are such a big deal. Philophobia is the fear of falling in love. It's often tied to past hurts or worries about getting too close to someone, making relationships feel scary or overwhelming. Aphids have a wild way of reproducing called telescoping generations. Through parthenogenesis, females give birth to live offspring that are often already pregnant with the next generation. In essence, they're essentially born pregnant. This allows aphid populations to grow exponentially under ideal conditions. Even though caterpillars have up to 12 tiny eyes called stomata, they're practically blind. Their eyes can only sense light and movement, so they can't see details, just enough to avoid danger and find food. Believe it or not, there are over 10,000 types of tomatoes. From tiny cherry tomatoes to giant beefsteaks, they come in all shapes, sizes, and even colors like purple and yellow. This is due to selective breeding and natural genetic variation. Tomatoes have a high degree of genetic plasticity, meaning their DNA can easily produce variations in size, color, flavor, and texture. Additionally, tomatoes naturally mutate and adapt to different climates, further increasing their diversity. Pheasant Island is a unique spot. It switches between being French and Spanish every 6 months. This quirky arrangement has been in place since 1659 as part of a treaty between the two countries. Stockholm is spread across 14 islands, all linked by more than 50 bridges. It's part of a massive archipelago with thousands of islands, giving the city its unique charm. Goalkeepers really do have faster brains. A study found they're better at processing sights and sounds quickly, likely because their position demands lightning-fast reactions. It's like their brains are wired for split-second decisions. The saguaro cactus is a slow grower. It can take 20 to 30 years to reach just 1 meter tall. In its first decade, it might only grow an inch a year, Patience is key for this desert giant. The theobromine in chocolate, despite its name, contains no bromine. It's named after the Theobroma cacao tree, meaning food of the gods. Chile's San Alfonso del Mar resort boasts the world's largest swimming pool. It's a kilometer long and holds 250 million liters of seawater. Why do we call them white rhinos when they're actually gray? It's all thanks to a mix-up. The name likely comes from the Dutch word wide, meaning wide, which describes the rhino's broad mouth. Over time, wide got mistranslated to white, and the name just stuck. So, despite being gray, they're forever known as white rhinos. Also, white rhinoceros is the second largest land animal, tipping the scales at over 7,700 pounds or 3,500 kilograms and stretching up to 13 feet or 4 meters long. A true giant of the savannah. Casa Botín in Madrid holds the title of the world's oldest restaurant, serving up delicious Spanish dishes since 1725. Hamburg takes the crown for the most bridges in any city, over 2,300. That's more than Venice and Amsterdam combined, earning it the nickname City of Bridges. Turns out, Steam users don't play about a third of the games they own. Thanks to sales and bundles, many games just sit in libraries, waiting to be clicked on. Try as you might, you can't easily sneeze with your eyes open. It's an automatic reflex. Your body closes them to protect your eyes from all the stuff flying out when you sneeze. So basically, the closing of the eyes is a synkinetic movement. Synkinesis is an involuntary muscle movement that occurs when another muscle group is activated. Instead of a typical bark, Basenjis express themselves with a delightful range of yodels and chortles, all thanks to their uniquely shaped vocal cords. Flamingos are night owls when it comes to flying. They prefer migrating after sunset, enjoying cooler temps and smoother skies. You'll rarely spot them flying during the day unless they're just hopping a short distance. Believe it or not, sea sponges were considered plants until 1825. That's when scientists realized they were actually animals, thanks to their feeding habits and cell structure. An ultracrepidarian is someone who loves giving opinions on things they know nothing about. The term was famously coined by the ancient Greek painter Apelles, who used it to criticize a shoemaker's unsolicited critique of his art. Hang Son Doong in Vietnam is the world's largest cave by volume. It's so huge it has its own jungle, river, and even clouds inside. Some parts are taller than skyscrapers and stretch for miles. Making Coca-Cola is surprisingly water-intensive. It takes about 200 liters or 53 gallons of water to produce just 1 liter of the drink. That includes growing the ingredients and running the production process. It takes about 140 liters or 37 gallons of water to grow the coffee for just 1 cup, from growing the beans to brewing your drink. The giant fruit bat, also called the golden-crowned flying fox, is a real giant. Its wingspan can stretch up to 5.6 feet or 1.7 meters. It's one of the largest bats on the planet. Lemons usually float because their thick rinds trap air, while limes often sink due to their thinner, denser skin. But it's not a hard rule. Some limes can float too. Interoception is the sense that helps you perceive internal bodily sensations like hunger, thirst, or your heartbeat. However, the brain filters out constant or unnecessary signals, like the movement of organs, to avoid sensory overload, which is why you don't notice them unless something changes or feels unusual. Growing a pineapple takes patience. It usually takes about 2 years for a plant to produce its first fruit. The first year is all about growing, and the fruit finally shows up in the second year. Once harvested, the plant can produce additional smaller fruits, but it's often replanted for better yields. Mars's density, is 3.93 grams per cubic centimeter, compared to Earth's 5.51 grams per cubic centimeter, making it about 28% less dense. Mars is also roughly half the size of Earth in diameter, about 53%, and has a different internal structure, including a thinner crust and a less dense core. Uranus has the longest seasons in the solar system. That's because the planet is tilted of about 98 degrees, meaning it essentially orbits the sun on its side. As a result, each pole experiences about 21 years of continuous sunlight, followed by 21 years of darkness, making its seasons incredibly long compared to Earth's. Russia is massive. It covers around 11% of the Earth's land surface, making it the largest country in the world. That's 1 out of every 10 land areas on the planet. Time dilation is a mind-bending effect where time slows down near massive objects, like planets or black holes. Thanks to gravity warping space-time, clocks tick slower there than in places with weaker gravity. Zebra foals are up and running within an hour of being born. This quick mobility is a lifesaver in the wild, helping them stay with the herd and escape predators right from day one. The Tasmanian devil, Sarcophilus harrisii, is the largest carnivorous marsupial in the world, following the extinction of the thylacine, Tasmanian tiger, in the 20th century. These feisty little creatures are native to Tasmania and are known for their powerful jaws and loud, eerie screeches. Lady Liberty's sandals are a staggering size 8.79. With feet 25 feet long, she's got the biggest shoes to match her towering 151-foot height. That metal gadget used to measure your shoe size? It's called a Brannock device, invented in 1925 by Charles F. Brannock. The pH meter was invented in 1934 to measure the acidity of lemon juice for the citrus industry, but it didn't take long for scientists to realize its potential for all sorts of other uses. Owls have tubular-shaped eyes instead of spherical ones like humans. These tube-like structures are fixed in their sockets, which is why owls can't move their eyes. Instead, they rotate their heads up to 270 degrees to see around them. Bibliophobia is actually the fear of books or reading. Watching horror movies can temporarily boost your blood-clotting protein, factor the 8. It's your body's way of preparing for potential injuries when you're scared. Nature's own survival mechanism. India has about as many Christians as England and Wales combined, around 30 million. Even though they're a small percentage of India's huge population, it's still a big number. Creating a one-day weather forecast takes about 10 billion calculations. Supercomputers crunch 2.8 quadrillion calculations per second, analyzing everything from air pressure to wind speed to predict the weather. It's a numbers game on a massive scale. Rats and mice can't vomit. They lack the brain wiring for it. That's why poison works so well on them. Once they eat something toxic, they can't get rid of it. Many dinosaur species are identified from fragmentary remains, such as a single tooth, bone, or partial skeleton. Fossilization is a rare process, and complete skeletons are even rarer. Paleontologists often piece together information from these limited remains to describe new species. Researchers have found that the mortar used in some sections of the Great Wall of China contained sticky rice. The amylopectin in the rice acted as a natural binder, making the mortar stronger and more resistant to weathering. This ingenious use of sticky rice contributed to the wall's durability over centuries. Antarctica's katabatic winds can roar at 200 miles per hour or 322 kilometers per hour, racing downhill with icy ferocity. An ear of corn always has an even number of rows, usually 16, and packs about 800 kernels onto each cob. It's a marvel of natural engineering. Those expiration dates on water bottles, they're for the plastic, not the water. Over time, the bottle can break down and affect the water's taste and safety, so it's best to stick to the date. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more mind-blowing facts. Let me know in the comments what other strange and interesting topics you'd like to see covered. Thanks for watching.